today I'm going to show you a recipe that is a favorite of our family. It's a nice comfort food and it's called sausage bake. Hi, this is Linda Patchett from Happy Place Homestead, and I'm standing in my new yet unfinished kitchen. If you have followed along at all with any of our videos, you'll know that we have been working since living here. We're almost 2 years in our new house, and we've been working at moving our kitchen down from the second floor down to the first floor, and we're standing in what is a functioning kitchen. There's still countertops that needs done, the floor needs done, the ceiling needs done, so there's lots of stuff that still needs done, but it's functioning. And so today I'm going to use this opportunity to show off a little bit of my kitchen and to show you a recipe that is a favorite of ours here on the Happy Place Homestead called sausage bake. And it is such a comfort food. For us here, we are at the end of winter, going into spring, so some of those winter vegetables are starting to get a little out of their ripe season, out of their good season, but that's okay, we're still gonna use those. So here we go, we're gonna start this recipe. Okay, now this recipe originally came to me through a friend of mine. We were staying at their farm one summer day, and for dinner she had all these vegetables that she cut up, and she had some sausage just out of the tube from the store, and she individually wrapped them into little packages of foil where she would have the little bit of sausage and a bunch of veggies, and she'd wrap it up really tight in the foil, and they'd put it on the grill, and the sausage flavor would be cooked into all the vegetables, the potatoes, the corn, carrots, whatever veggies she put in there, and it would be amazing. And cooked on the grill, so easy, convenient. But for me, I just found that I love the idea of the sausage flavoring all the vegetables, but having to individually wrap all these little packages was just way too labor intensive for me. So one day I thought, I'm just gonna throw it all in a pan. And that's where the sausage bake for us has been, it came from, really. That's how it was birthed into our family. So what we have is, this is the sausage. Now, we have our own pigs here on the homestead, and we've used the sausage from that, but at this point, we've kind of actually eaten through it all. So I had to buy basic Jimmy Dean sausage. Anything will do, Bob Evans, whatever. Basic sausage. I just like the regular stuff. The maple works too, but I'd like to cut down. I don't like to have too much sugar, and so the maple flavored sausage is just too sweet. Now, again, with like any recipe that I'm going to show you, our sizes are way out of control, probably compared to the majority of your guys' sizes, or the family size, the portion sizes that you need. For me, I'm using 5 pounds of pork sausage. You could probably get away with 1 for a basic family of 4. And then you just use as much vegetables as you want. In the end, you can put as much meat in as you want or as little meat in as you want. But today we have a guest in the family, and so I thought we're gonna fill it up with some good old meat. So we got 5 pounds. The other vegetables, you can use what you want. Definitely a potato. We like potatoes, whether white potatoes or sweet potatoes. Today I'm gonna use sweet potatoes. There's been times that I've chosen not to use any potatoes in it, and I cook the potatoes separate. But a big thing I like, that we really like, is the squash. A good butternut squash is a nice flavoring throughout this, and that's kind of what makes it a fall winter type of meal, is because of that squash. It just makes it so yummy. Carrots are a must. I'm putting in a bunch of carrots today. And onions. I have several different kinds of onions. I'm using actually one of each. I have the red onion, a sweet onion, and a yellow onion. I'm putting a bunch of onion in because it tastes so good. I also have peppers today. Peppers would not be something I would put in it in the fall or in the winter because they're not typically in season, but since we're kind of coming into spring, we're getting peppers, and peppers are just another really great thing that seasons the meal good. And today I'm also putting in zucchini. Again, not something I would do in the fall, but in the fall I would have other squash. I would put into it a lot more potatoes, carrots, onions, oh, and mushrooms. I love mushrooms, so I'm definitely gonna put mushrooms in there. All of these flavors together. I'm just gonna really cut everything up, peel a cut, throw it in my big pan, and I'm gonna cover it with sausage and then bake it. It's that simple. Okay, I'm not going to show you how I'm cutting all the vegetables, but I wanna give you a couple tips. Because I have lots of different vegetables here. We have onions and carrots and potatoes. All these things cook at different rates, basically. And so you want to cut your vegetables in a way that they will cook cohesively at the same time. So potatoes and carrots are two things that cook slower than others. And so you need to, I cut my carrots at a basic slice size so that they cook faster than they would normally cook if I cut them into big chunks. Same with potatoes. Potatoes I think take a little less time than carrots, and so I cut them in sizes that I think that they will cook at a reasonable time in comparison to the others. Whereas onions and peppers, both of these will cook pretty quick, and you will have mush on your hands if you cut them too small. And so I tend to cut them decently sized, especially the peppers, because I will cut these basically in slices because I want them to cook. They need to be big enough that they will cook at the same rate as a potato. And as is with zucchini, same thing. Big chunks because I don't want them turning into mush. Now, like I said, I'm not going to show you how to cut all these veggies. You should know how to do that. One, I'm going to give you 2 tips. On peeling sweet potatoes, I've been asked before how I peel sweet potatoes because people sometimes have a difficult time peeling them. I don't know what the magic solution is. I've never had a problem peeling sweet potatoes. But here's what I can tell you is I have a really good peeler. This is a Pampered Chef peeler that I've had probably 15 years. I think they make them different looking now with a bigger handle or whatnot, but having a really good peeler is important when it comes to peeling potatoes, and then just not being afraid to really dig in there and peel it hard. You know, I don't know. There's no magic thing about peeling potatoes, but I am going to show you how to peel a squash, butternut squash. Because I've been peeling these for about a little over 20 years, ever since my oldest was a baby, and I would make baby food for her. I would make butternut squash baby food puree. And it was way before YouTube when you could find a video that would tell you how to do everything perfectly correct, right? I just figured it out for myself. And I've used the same technique for over 20 years on cutting and peeling butternut squash. So I'm going to show that to you in case you maybe have never done that before, okay? Okay, for butternut squash. I have before tried actually peeling a butternut squash with a peeler, and that is a knuckle buster. It is not easy. I can't, how many times I slam my knuckles down on the countertops. It's just a mess. So I stick with a knife when it comes to cutting butternut squash, and I'll show you that technique. And I'd like for you to please excuse the disgusting mess of my countertops. Down the road, very soon, hopefully I'll have nice, beautiful concrete countertops, but for now, it's gross plywood. So here's the technique for cutting butternut squash. I cut off the tops, just the top. Got to have a good sharp knife too to begin with. So I always have my little trusted sharpener right there. So I cut the top off first, and then a butternut squash has this long piece and then the bulb. When I shop for butternut squash, I prefer to have it to have a long neck or whatever you call this here, because it just means more solid flesh. It's in the bulb is where you get the seeds, and so you have less actual flesh in the bulb. So I like a smaller bulb, longer neck. And so I cut the top off, and then I'm going to cut it right where that neck meets the bulb there. Just guessing at it. Okay, so you can see I got pretty close. I mean, that's the very top of the little pocket of seeds that are in the bottom of the bulb. I'm going to set the bulb aside. I'm going to deal with the neck. All I do is take my sharp knife and I run it right down like that. Cut it off. And I try to make sure I take as little of the flesh off as possible so I keep that for the yummy cooking. So I just keep moving along, cutting off. Oops. And it happens. Cutting off that stuff there, the skin. And sometimes, like, I took a little bit too much there, but whatever. It's not a perfect little technique. So I have all my little skinny things and throw it in my compost. So there's my flesh. There's the big long neck, which is really cool. Now from here, I'll just cut it in half. And I'll chunk it up, basically. Not too horribly small. Squash cooks faster than potato and faster than carrot. So you don't want it to be, again, you don't want the squash to turn into a complete mush. So I don't know, say how skinny this part is. I'm going to cut that pretty big, but this one's thick, so I'm cutting that smaller. I don't know, you kind of just you want your vegetables to cook at a consistent rate, and so you just learn to kind of figure out what size things should be in order to get them to cook consistently. Okay, now I have the bulb, and of course I don't have a clean spoon. But here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do the same technique for the skin of this as well. I'm just going to go right along the edge. And of course it's rounded, so I have to follow the shape. See how I'm following the shape of the bulb. Tell you, these things are brutal. They are a tough veggie. And I know people who like to, they cook them whole and then they scoop out the insides, but I want these to cook in with my other veggies, so I have to peel it. So I have just the bottom left, and I just cut the bottom off. Okay, so there we go, compost. Now I'm going to cut this baby in half, and I have here the exposed seeds, which my little chickens will absolutely love. But I have to grab a clean spoon, and now a good old spoon is I'm just gonna scrape out the seeds. The bulb part, the flesh in the bulb, it's a little bit softer, I think, and so I actually don't like the consistency of it as well as the neck. So that's again why when I'm shopping for butternut squash, I try to find ones that have long necks to them, you know, smaller bulbs. If you can see what I'm doing here, just really scratching it out. If you have to do too many of these, it's exhausting. I will have 2 of these to do for a meal tonight. Okay, now again, this is all yummy stuff my chickens will love. Now this, I peel it in the same way, similar way that I would a sweet pepper. Kind of chop it in half and chunk it. Okay, because I just don't want my veggies to turn into mush. Now, that's how you cut a bell pepper. I mean, not a bell pepper. That's how you cut a butternut squash. Okay, so now I have all my veggies cut, and they're all in this lovely pan here, looking nice. I'll give them a good toss. I'll throw a little bit of salt in there, not a lot, because really it's the sausage that does the flavoring. And so once this is done and tossed and salted, I will start adding the meat. I've taken all the plastic wrapper off all this meat, and I will just literally pull it apart and throw it on top of the veggies and kind of toss it a little bit as I go and then cook it. So, salt next. Okay, so here I am. I'm just taking just basic little small sizes of like a ping pong ball or something like that, and I'm just throwing it in. And I will do a little bit of this, and then I'll toss it to kind of get the meat to mix in with the vegetables so that it will get flavor and cook evenly. But the thing is, at least halfway through the cooking, once I know that it's really starting to cook, I will go in and stir it really well, pull it out of the oven and stir it good, because what happens is the meat likes to kind of stick together and cook together. You want to break them up into those little pieces so that it will cook through faster. Again, you don't want this to be a 4-hour thing in the oven. You want it to cook pretty quick so that your vegetables don't turn to mush in the process. So by breaking them into little pieces, it will help the meat to cook faster, and then stirring it halfway through, again, helps to make sure that your meat will cook at an even rate and quicker than it would otherwise if it was just a big old slab of sausage. Okay, so I'm doing all this, making a disgusting mess, and I mix it all up, and I'll throw it in the oven. I'll cook it I'll throw it in about 375. If I'm in a hurry, I'll turn up the temperature. If I'm not in a hurry, I'll turn it down to 350 and just let it cook at whatever rate that it needs to cook. Because really, all you're looking for is the sausage to get cooked. You don't really, veggies are veggies, you know. You don't want to overcook them, but you just want them cooked and flavored. So you're just waiting for the sausage to get cooked. I'm sorry I can't give you exact ideas, but that's how I cook. That's what it is. You just kind of figure it out, and you do different the next time when it doesn't work out. Okay, there you go. Okay, it's ready for the oven. Here is my pre-cooked concoction. You can see that the veggies are are stirred in with the meat, and so that there'll be a more even cooking. And I'll stir it halfway through, and I will cook it covered. So again, I'm gonna stick it in about 350 tonight because I want it to cook a little slower as I'm waiting for my husband to get on his airplane and get home to us. All right, there we go. So next is cooking.
Oh, hello, welcome back. So my mom is gone picking up my dad, and she's stuck there because something about frozen luggage. I don't know. So I'm just gonna go ahead and end the video here because we're all starving and ready to dig into this delicious sausage bake. This is my absolute favorite meal. You can come on in and take a look. My mom probably already told you all the delicious ingredients, but it really is a favorite here in the family. I'll probably have a ton of helpings, and I'm just wanting to dig in right now. So thank you for watching the video. Tune in to all the rest of the videos that I'm sure that they'll have coming soon, and definitely try this recipe out.